Hello everyone, it's been a while, but I'm back with another video. I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I recently took a flight across the country, and this was my first flight since becoming a avid fan of fountain pens. And I'd heard some things about flying with fountain pens and how it could be troublesome. So before I left, I did a little research, and I watched a video by Brian Goulet and Doodlebud, and the two main things I took from those were to, one, when you fly, store your pens upright, cap up, and the second thing was to make sure they were all full. Well, I didn't follow either one of those. I really wanted to, but I wanted to take a lot of pens, but I didn't want to take the time to fill all these pens up. As you can see, I took a lot of pens with me. And I meant to store them capside up on my departure flight, but unfortunately, in my haste, I did just the opposite. So they were capped down. So I haven't checked all these caps. Some of them I can see. So the goal of this video is just to go through all these pens and to see how they fared on my departure and return flight. So again, these are all the pens that I took with me. I took all these pens with me because I knew I went there for a class, so I knew that in the evening I would want to doodle and I wouldn't want to get bored. So I took all these with me, and I didn't want to leave them behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check on the caps, see if there's any leakage. And so this is the Montegrappa MIA. I took this with me, and I can already see that there is no leakage in this one. So the MIA did very well, and the MIA was one of the pens that I took in my carry-on that was on the departure flight from Baltimore, was stored upside down. So this one did pretty well. I wasn't going to take my Leonardos with ebonite feeds. These have a tendency to leak, but I decided I was going to take them anyway. So I am assuming that there was going to be some leakage in here. There is just a little bit around the lip of the section. So you can see there, which is not unusual for this pen to have some. So there's some ink there, and quite a bit in the cap. And this may or may not be due to the flight. As I said, these pens, my ebonite Leonardos, tend to leak anyway. So there's that one. And here's my Galen and a Gakkan Studio pen. There's no ink on the nib or anything. Let's see the cap. There's a little bit. Not as much as the Leonardo, but not bad. And I believe this one was in my carry-on as well. When I returned from Vegas to Baltimore, I did store them right side up. And on my departure flight, to be extra careful, although I wasn't, careful like I should have been, I did put these in a Ziploc bag, and then I put them in my normal everyday case that I carry. So they were all in Ziplocs. So here's another Leonardo Supernova Bohemian Twilight with a ebonite feed. There's no leakage that you can see there. Let's see about the cap. No, that one did very well as well. And this was also in carry-on upside down on the departure flight. Here's a Leonardo Momento Magico. Again, no real leakage around the section. and very little in the cap. So this is what I'm going to do for all of it. Well, for most of them. For this pen, the Platinum Curidas, I didn't take any kind of precautions whatsoever. I had this on my, I think I clipped it on my shirt, and I used it throughout the flight, and there is no, no issues. It had a full cartridge in here, so this one I used freely throughout the flight because I was fairly comfortable with being able to seal it off. So I used this throughout the flight. Here's a Conklin Durograph. Some ink on the nib, but not really anything out of the ordinary. And quite a bit of ink in the cap though. So the Durograph leaked a little bit, but all of these, based on some of the things I heard about fountain pens on flights, that they will explode and everything. So far it hasn't been too bad. And this one tends to leak all the time, and I can already see there's some in the cap, but then that's the normal state of this pen. It is pretty much always has some ink in it, and so you can see there's quite a bit of ink in that, but I think that's more the pen than the flight. So that's the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande Pura. It's my Penlux. I do believe this is one of the pens that I did fill all the way up, and I don't see anything in the cap, nor is there really anything on the nib. So you can see that's pretty much nothing. So one of the Mont Blancs I took the JFK with me, and this is a piston filler, and it was not near to being full, so we'll see how the JFK did. Just a little bit, so that did pretty well. And this was also on my carry-on. So that's those. They're all pretty good so far. It's good to see. So this is the Opus 88 Omar. You can see this was in my check-in bag, and so it was horizontal for the flight over. So you can see there's quite a bit of leakage here, and there's quite a bit in the cap. So this is going to need a lot of cleaning, and it's dried in there. So I didn't want to clean it out until I did this video to show you how these did. And this one is totally pretty much full. So it was totally full during the flight. So that theory didn't work. And this is the Opus 88 Demonstrator, and this one did fine, and it was not very full, and there's nothing in that cap really. Well, a little bit of dried ink, but not bad. Now this one I actually had to clean while I was on my trip because it totally exploded. This was the one that did explode. Fortunately, because I used a Ziploc, it didn't really get on anything. There was ink all in the cap, and maybe I didn't put the cap on tight enough. The ink actually had spilled all the way down the body. So this is Asvine P36, I believe. But it did well. So it was on the departure flight to Vegas that it did that little explosion, and this was in my carry-on as well, upside down. And so on the departure flight from Vegas to Baltimore, this is how it came. So it was fine. It was fine on the return flight. So, and this was in my carry-on as well, the Aurora 88. And it's pretty dry there. I was afraid that this pen was going to disintegrate, but it survived. It's a little bit of a dainty pen, but you can see there's no ink whatsoever in that. So this has been the best so far. This has no ink, not a drop on it on the swab whatsoever. So Aurora 88, it's a good job so far. And here's my Peniter. Peniter, what is this? The La Grande Bellezza Mystery Filler Black Russian. Some on the nib there. We'll see what's in the cap. A little bit, not bad. So, very good, that one. And here is my Pilot Custom 823, which was also on my person as I was flying and returning. A little bit of ink on the nib. And just a tad bit in the cap. And this one wasn't, I think I tried to fill it up before I left. It was close to full, but not quite. So my Mont Blanc Master Stick 146, nothing on the nib there. And let's see what's in the cap. Quite a bit in the cap, but now all in all, although some of these are showing some leakage in the caps, I did clean them before I left. Although, because I knew I wanted to do this video, although there's some leakage in the caps, I mean, considering the flight, it's not really bad. So this is the Peniter Alchemist Stromboli, and I'm going to do a video on my Peniters. It's going to be my next or video after on the Peniters. I've had some issues with my Peniters that I want to talk about a little bit. But we'll see about the leakage in the cap. It's a little bit of a blob there, but not bad. So all in all, these are doing really well with no major leakages. Now I know this one does. This is the Lamy 2000. And so I don't want to get it on me. So this is how the Lamy 2000 fared. And I do believe this was one of the pens that I inked up. So you can see it didn't fare too well. And this one was in my check-in bag. So I'm going to have to clean this off, and I can only imagine what's in the cap. I was kind of surprised that it was the Lamy 2000. Not so surprised that an Asvine would explode, but there's not too much in the cap. It's mostly around the section there. So maybe it came out from here, I don't know. But Lamy 2000, still all in all, no explosion. And my Homo Sapiens Dark Crystal was in my carry-on. So, ooh, quite a bit. So this was one of the ones that was upside down on my departure flight. So there's quite a bit there. I don't really see anything on the nib of this section, but quite a bit in the cap. And last is my Peniter Avatar UR Ultra Resin. And I'll talk about this pen in my upcoming Peniter video as well. Just a little bit in the cap. So that's about all I wanted to do today, just to share with you my experience from flying. I guess my biggest takeaway is to make sure they're all cap tight, store them upright, wait till the cabin reaches its pressure before you open one of these. But like I said, I doodled pretty much the whole flight with the Curados with no issue. So I guess some of these are just more finicky with than others. One other thing I would do that I did, as I said, I would put them in Ziplocs just to make sure that they don't, if they do have a leakage, they don't leak on anything that's of value. But I hope this video was of use if you're going to be flying anytime soon or not so soon. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.